Peace, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Black Intelligentsia. I'm your host, Carl Labert, and today we got an interview with Dennis Winkler, brother Dennis Winkler. And I reached out to the brother. He said, "Come on, so I can bring you a new face." If you haven't heard or seen from him, he do have a YouTube channel. We're gonna get into all of that. And so without further delay, I'm gonna hand the mic over to my guest. How you doing, brother?
Peace, brother. How you doing? Thanks for the invite. Definitely, I've been checking you out. I've seen you, here and there, hit and miss on brother. With some of all the controversy that goes on around the community, but nonetheless, I've seen you, and so I took a deeper look at you. I've actually had my people, scope you out, my brother. I asked around about you. They told me, "No, the brother's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. They say he keeps his cool for the most part." So I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a sham bam, get me on the thing and like set me up type of thing. But nonetheless, brother, I've looked at what you're doing, and I agree with a lot what you say. To be honest with you, I don't come from the same school of thought. However, but that's still fine. So I think that you make a lot of good points, and what I've been looking at over the last few days. So my name is I go by Minister Ausar, Dennis Ausar Winkler. Do a lot. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Done a lot in the city here, between Baltimore, DC. I'm an entrepreneur since a very young age. Go by, some know me as Minister Ausar, also known as a psychosocial spiritual entrepreneur. I teach people a lot of things as far as real estate investing, entrepreneurship development, cultural competency. I counsel. I minister here under the Temple of New African Thought, chief minister here on the Temple of New African Thought. We have a lot of programs. We definitely do a lot of things in the community. We have a rite of passage here, rite of passage program for young men, for young ladies. We definitely have a sisterhood and a brotherhood. We actually have a art that we have here at the Temple of New African Thought, under the Spirit of Kemet Martial Arts Academy, also known as SOKEMA is the acronym, where we teach a art called Montu Chi Ryu, which is a mixed martial art of Tai Chi Chuan and Karate Shorin-ryu. Sound like you about to say something, my brother? So it's a lot of things, a lot of things we do. I'm also the founder of the Conscious Black Business Network Radio at consciousblackbusiness.com, consciousblackbusiness.com. You can go there, check us out. In fact, we have 2 shows lined up this evening. Consciousblackbusiness.com, online radio network, where we also broadcast, as you said, on our YouTube channel, CBBN, Dennis Ausar Winkler. You can find me. And we also have everything. We teach real estate investing, again, like I said, youth programs. We do workshops. We do manhood trainings. We do a lot of things. There's so much that I can't really even go through all of it. But it's a lot of things we've been doing for several years.
Okay, so you deal with consciousness by way of making people conscious of entrepreneurship, things of that nature, how to make a business work and how to raise up young black males, I guess.
I would say I deal with consciousness from every aspect, every facet. I don't leave any untouched, because I think if we leave any untouched, we're not really conscious. Dr. Amos Wilson often says that, or he said in his book, Blueprint for Black Power, which I have here, right here, Blueprint for Black Power, he speaks about, if you're really not conscious unless you actually are actively bringing about those things that we speak about, the things that we see in the book, the things we see in the literature. So definitely, it's really, we cover all aspects, and we come from an African-centered foundation.
So let me ask you, what is consciousness then? How do you define it?
Oh man, that's heavy, right? Wow, I wish I had that. Well, I'll go with Dr. Amos Wilson's definition, right? And in his definition of consciousness, I'm not merely saying, as I start my show off all the time, when I say consciousness, and I'm not merely talking about being aware. It's not just being aware. It's really about the actions that, it's really knowing and doing is not just talking. It's just not, knowing a thing. It's really like Dr. Amos Wilson says, it's an action. Like Dr. Booker T. Coleman, when he came on our show once before, he said consciousness is a verb. So it's an action thing. So it's more than knowing a thing.
I agree with you. I often say that it's being conscious of your environment and how you interact with it.
Right. And in fact, I think if we want to go on another level of consciousness, I think there's different levels of consciousness. Some of us haven't caught up. One of the things I think that I see from what I saw, a little of what I saw that you do is that you at this level of consciousness, whereas you understand that you have a certain school of thought. There's others who have other schools of thoughts, and there's no need for us to clash in these schools of thought. If we really, but that takes a different level of consciousness. See, we have, when we become aware, when we first get peeked out, we first peek out the egg, and, but we're still practicing it very religiously, even though we say we're not religious, or we say we're not dogmatic, or we say we're not indoctrinated, we're still practicing it like babies. But when a person who's really conscious, they can see above all these different subsects and say, you know what? I understand the rituals. I understand the principles. I understand the ideology. I understand all these things, but I'm not going to allow these things to be used against me.
Okay. So let's talk about exactly what you do on your show and the type of guests you bring on, and what is it you try to achieve by bringing these guests on.
Okay, so when we bring guests on our show, we often say that we're not just bringing people who talk, we bring people who are doing and who do. So, I mean, sometimes it's not as, some people don't, a lot of people might not find it entertaining as much sometimes, because we bring people who actually put in work, actually own businesses. The things that we say we don't have in the conscious community, we really do have. I mean, I don't know about where you are. Where you at, my brother? Where are you, by the way? Brother Dr. Israel, I think are you in what state, what city are you in?
I'm in Arkansas currently right now, but I'm more of a Chicago representative.
Okay, so I know I have brothers and sisters in Chicago, and I know they have businesses. I've talked to them. I speak to them every day. I speak to my brothers and sisters in NY. I speak to my brothers and sisters here in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and we have institutions here, especially here in Baltimore. So I'm not really about shedding light on what we don't have, or the downtrodden, or what Dr. Malefic Asante called the consciousness of oppression. It's really about the consciousness of victory that I'm more focused on. Those who are doing things rather than saying what we don't have. I'm about uplifting what we do have, because many times I think if we don't shed light on what we do have, we won't be able to maintain these institutions, such as here in Baltimore. We always say we don't have Black-owned colleges, we don't have institutions, we don't have this, we don't have that. But here in Baltimore, Sojourner Douglas College, a Black-owned college that came out of the liberation struggle, up until about last year, was open for business. But now they're fighting with accreditation. But the truth of the matter is they've been in business for over 40 years. So why doesn't anybody know that? Why isn't anyone speaking about that? So I'm about bringing the truth about what's really going on, what we do have, and rather than shedding the light on the negative all the time.
So tell us about some more things that you know that we do have that we may be ignorant of, because as you say, a lot of us are aware of all the negativity and the stereotypes and the stuff people push. So enlighten us on more of that from the different guests you done brought on. Okay,
so what we do is we bring on plenty of guests, and we don't even have to leave out our city to bring guests, to be honest with you. We got, where I'm at, I'm in our Temple of New African Thought right now. We have our radio show broadcast out of here and everything. We can start here. We do have an institution right here in Baltimore City, in the middle of the city, with quote unquote hood, you understand, for our people. You understand, where they can come here, they can get educated about themselves, they can learn how to employ themselves, they can learn how to be anything from protect themselves, feed themselves, clothe themselves, all that type of thing, and also have a family. But if I go out these doors right now, if I go left or right, this strip has nothing but black businesses. This is what we say. We don't own anything. But if I'm in Baltimore, I'm on a street where I believe the majority of the business, I know the majority of businesses on this stretch right here are black-owned business. So I have friends here, such as Sister Brother Greg and Sister Naja, who owns a vegan soul food restaurant here in Baltimore named the Land of Kush. Right. I have another friend here named Aya who owns another vegan restaurant called Grindhouse. I have another friend here named which is an organization which they own. They're about to open up a vegan restaurant, stand in the vein of vegan restaurants. Another vegan restaurant that's coming up called the Grub Factory. So that's 3 restaurants. I also know that we have a bookstore here called Everyone's Place, owned by a black brother who's conscious, you understand, who has all the information. I don't care if it's from your school of thought or anybody else's school of thought out here, that is on North Avenue in the middle of the city in quote unquote what the hood, not too far from where you saw the brother Freddie Gray and the riots and all that thing was going on, right on that same block, where when that was going on, brothers that look like you and me stood in front of that store to say, no, don't touch this store right here. You're not going to touch this one. This is a cornerstone in our community, where not only is there a bookstore and you can get everything, every title, every book. I mean, the bookshelves are full. I mean, they don't turn the books like this in this store. They have them like where they show you the spine because they have so many books. Not only is that, this bookstore, if you go about maybe, let's say a mile down, maybe a half a mile down the street, what would have happened is they have a warehouse called African World Books, which they own this bookstore and they distribute all across the country. And I'm pretty sure they're probably the top distributor of this type of information that all of us are looking at and all that type of thing. I can go on. You know.
Let's talk about that, because you said something very important in there, that when the riots and stuff was going on, the protest was going on. Mm-hmm. I would like to say that more than riots because they put it in a negative connotation. But when the protest was going on, people stood in front of that bookstore and say, "Not this one. This is ours."
Right.
The cornerstone. What do you think about that when we have all these different things going on in the 50 corporations today? We have all these things going on, protests, Black Lives Matter, so on and so forth, and people get out of here, just like in South Carolina, and they get out here and they protest and they, show people that they upset about things of that nature, and nothing's in the neighborhood is owned by Black people. Uh-huh. Do you see the difference between what you just said and what currently going on when people go out to protest?
If I understand your question, I would say, if I never said that on this block there was a Black business that we stood in front of, not me, but I say we because I come from a true African-centered perspective, meaning that brothers and sisters that I know stood in front of it and guarded the store. You know, if I never said that, no one would realize that there were Black businesses on the street because we act like we don't own anything when we do. You know, I remember having that same mindset. If I can digress for a second, I remember having the same mindset. I was in school one day. I'm in college. I'm owning 3 businesses, right? Owning 3 businesses, making serious money. And I'm in there with my African-centered oppression mindset saying, you know, we don't own nothing. And I'm owning 3 businesses, making multiple $100,000 a year, saying we don't own nothing. You understand what I'm saying? We don't own nothing. And the teacher said, what do you mean? You own 3. And in fact, I thought about it. The same street that I lived, the same street that I had businesses on, it was many other Black businesses, you know, from funeral homes to real estate companies to food carryouts to auto mechanic shops, so on and so forth, up and down the block, where we were the majority, not the minority of business owners on this particular strip called Liberty Heights here in Baltimore. And if you go in West Baltimore, there's Black businesses all over the place. In fact, they say 35% of the businesses owned here in Baltimore are Black. You know, Baltimore is a tough city. So what happens is, you know, we got to do for what we make things happen. Now, I bet you there's a lot more businesses that are not necessarily being recognized because it's not filed downtown or with the state. Because I mean, I can take you on a trip and show you that there's black businesses. They don't necessarily look like, Taco Bell, but because they're mom and pop businesses. And definitely I deal with mom and pop businesses because they give you the best service, the best product for what you're going to deal with. So what do I think about that? I digress for a second. And the reason why I digress is to say I don't know if black businesses were in North Carolina. I'm not that familiar with that area. So I would not make the assumption that there wasn't any black owned businesses in that path. You understand what I'm trying to say? But it's a possibility that it probably didn't. But my idea is that we definitely we just got to keep working. If there wasn't any black businesses, maybe that wasn't the area where black businesses need to be. Black businesses, from my standpoint, need to be around black people. Not to say that we exclusively need to stay there, but what I'm saying is if we are going to support one another, we can't have a business in on a northeast side of town that's made for black people, but outside of the neighborhood, because now you're taking the money out. Even though you open a business, now people have to go outside of the neighborhood to support you. So I'm not sure, but I don't look at it from the standpoint that we don't own anything.
Yeah, I was saying that due to the fact that, people have the tendency to tell what's not theirs. If they're renting houses, they're putting them up because they're not theirs.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Now, look, so I talked to a Korean guy, right, who's a dentist. In fact, he told me, he said, you know what? Most of my friends own those stores, those liquor stores in those communities. And he told me that I thought the guy was going to say these Negroes or whatever, right? But what he told me was he understand because he himself had felt racism in his country as a Korean person. He understands that when people are impoverished and they're in the desolate condition, just like they're in Baltimore, when they said that something was on fire, that particular neighborhood has more board ups, and now it looks fresher because they put new wood up, because it's more board ups in that particular neighborhood than probably that are in some cities. Baltimore has a lot of vacant properties. And see, the thing is, we don't necessarily own those things, but there's opportunity to own those things. Rather we run away and try to own something else. It's nothing but opportunity when I see boarded up houses. When I see rioting in the neighborhood where you are, I see people who have been oppressed that have no other way but to vent their emotions. At least they don't think they have any other alternatives besides destroying something. And for the neighborhood that we're specifically speaking about, well, I'm speaking about here in Baltimore, they made it look like it was a big thing when the CVS was on fire, but it really wasn't that big. It was CVS, and then some of the liquor stores, they weren't owned by us. We talked about we're destroying our things, but we weren't owned by us. They don't even own the houses they're in. They're living in slums, and they don't even own the slums that they're living in. And the slums, I just see a group of oppressed people who find any way to act out their anger, just like angry people, because I counsel, when they come into my office, they tell me how they punch their own walls. So when you're angry and you're dealing with post-traumatic slave disorder or stress disorder or whatever you want to call it, or syndrome, people do that type of thing because this is the only way they've learned to cope with the pain that's going on inside of them. Sometimes, let me give you an analogy. Sometimes what happens is it don't even have to start with destroying your home, because people who are in real severe pain have learned that if they cut their arms, if they cut themselves and cause pain somewhere else, it alleviates the pain that they have mentally. So they cause physical pain to themselves to alleviate that mental pain. So it's not something that I think that is cut and dry. I don't think it's even something that's idiotic. I think this is, people have learned the way to deal with pain, but we have to give them alternatives to dealing with that pain, and we need to go through some counseling.
I will agree. Now, your city have been dealing with a lot, and I take this, I put it this way. There's a brother out there by the name of Polite, right? He said that he never stayed in the black community because of what we just talked about, the ownership of the things or the locale and the different things in the community.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree with that statement?
Okay. I already know what I'm hip, I guess I can say, on this whole polite conversation, but I want to, if you could repeat exactly that what you want me to answer, because I don't want to go all over the place.
You made a statement what we was going on, and that's somewhat why I asked that. But then I thought about the fact that yes, he was in Baltimore when he did the food thing. I mean, no trick, nothing. This it's
yeah.
So
yeah,
he made a statement that he never stayed in a black community because most of the stuff there is owned by white people. I asked that you agree with that statement.
I didn't hear the little white part, but I'll say this: I don't agree with. No, I don't agree with polite statement. In fact, I've been an ardent, or let's say advocate, against what he said. You got what I'm saying? What I'm saying is there's no monolith of black people. What I mean by monolith, black people are not singular. It's not just one group of people that you can just say this is what black people are. I don't think that you have to run outside of your neighborhood or outside of your group in order to live in quality housing. That's a lie. That's not even true. I mean, like, for example, when he said black neighborhoods, or this is how it is in the black neighborhood, and they shooting each other and they killing each other and all this type of thing. No, this is not every black neighborhood. Dude, you don't have to leave out a black neighborhood in order to get a quality neighborhood. In fact, I don't agree with leaving, because what happens is when you leave, we've learned from history that once you leave the community, the brightest minds leave, you leave them vulnerable. So we need people like polite, like yourself, like myself, like my brother who just walked in our communities. And if we leave, we're going to leave people vulnerable. We're going to leave the sons and daughters of single parent head households without fathers or without mothers. Because me in my community, most of the people are led by dual household mom and pops, but there are those who don't have their father, or they're lacking a mother in my neighborhood or my community, whereas I can serve as that father figure, whereas I can't do that if I was to go across town or somewhere else, because I'll be daddy and the white boy. You know, just like, for example, if I know I saw some things with polite, his daughters went over to a Halloween party. Okay, cool. That's what he want to do. That's what he want to do. But at the end of the day, if he has to pick up children to shuttle the children to different events and things like that, who is getting the benefit of his brilliance? It won't be our children. It will be their children, and their children already have enough figures. Whereas we need to keep our people like you, me, other polite, even whoever in our community. No, I don't agree with that.
Okay. My statement was that he made a statement that he never lived in the black community because it was owned by Caucasians.
Oh, well, you can come to my neighborhood and it's owned by black people. You understand what I'm trying to say? So what I'm saying is we're not a monolith. It's not. Now some communities are owned by Jews or Caucasians, and that's not a good enough excuse, because where he's at now is still owned by Caucasians. So it doesn't really make a difference. And Caucasians will go in these neighborhoods that are downtrodden and create something brilliant out of them. They will create little houses like here in Baltimore, take $5,000 houses that are now worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 when they only bought them for $1 or $500 or $10,000. I say, instead of doing that, why don't you create your neighborhood?
So now, he also came to Baltimore, and I guess one of your natives, Taharka Bay, was with him or whatever, and he called himself feeding some homeless people and stuff.
Oh, man.
I don't know much about it. You being from Baltimore, did you hear about it? Was it in a community that you know of?
I'll be honest, man. I have a article I wrote on it, on a blog post that I wrote on it. And Taharka, you know, I do know Taharka. To me, I'm trying to be nice. Let me just stay nice, Brother Larry. Taharka is not who he say he is. Let me just put it like that. I've learned that Taharka isn't who he say he is. Taharka's been on my show. I've learned that Taharka really loves that attention. You understand what I'm saying? He loves attention, so he will switch up on you for fanfare, and I don't play those games. So to be honest with you, Tahaka is a groupie of Polite's. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and he can't see anything wrong with Polite. As far as Polite coming into Baltimore and giving out, I have an article, it's called Brother Polite, giving out pizza and vegan soup may be tantamount to giving out testers in a neighborhood plagued with drugs. Other con artists have given more. And what am I saying by this? I'm saying that I have a whole article on it. Go to consciousblackbusiness.com to check it out. Consciousblackbusiness.com to check it out. But you know, the short long, I guess I'll say, is that in any business arena, in every business that markets, as Polite does, and every other business markets as well. And when you get any real training, I believe Polite has had some decent training. You know, you learn things. They teach you how to become philanthropists, those who take care of and give and help the community, the less fortunate, and so on. They do these as business strategies for a number of reasons. Some people do it because they realize that if they can get in that community and work amongst others who are working in the community, these people become new clients. 1, 2, when you help somebody's children out, it's likely that maybe when those children grow up, they feel obligated to you because this is what you did for my mother. This is what you did for my father. This is what you did. I feel obligated to you for the rest of my life. And I'm going to support you in everything that you do. See, there's something called false generosity that Paulo Freire talks about in his book, Pedagogy of the Press, that talks about, you know, false generosity. And this is what I saw, false generosity. And there's another reason why someone would do this. When your name has been tarnished, as Brother Polite's has been, and you know, it's crazy that I see people still following the brother. When your name has been tarnished, you have to do these little deeds to bring light on your name. This, anybody knows this. When you kill somebody, when you got in some trouble with the law, you know, we know this. When you robbed, when you did wrong, what did your lawyer tell you? Your lawyer tell you go and do some good deeds, do some community work, do something to take that heat off of you. So when you go before the judge, you have a you have something to say, look, this is what I've been doing. And furthermore, in the article, I speak about those who are really in the streets doing this thing and doing this type of work. They don't necessarily have to get on YouTube and do this. Believe me, Polite, this is not something common with Brother Polite. This is something he did because Polite is an intelligent brother who misuses his intelligence to scam people. How do I know this? I mean, this whole thing that Polite is talking about on his page is bullcrap. I mean, why? Because now he's talking about what does he say? He said something about $40,000 PayPal. I mean, that's all bull crap. You can just look at it and tell it's bull crap. But furthermore, look, he's saying that Facebook held my money. I mean, what is it? Not Facebook. What is it? PayPal held my money. PayPal held my money. Look, dude. Look, PayPal didn't hold your money when I ordered books from you. I'm talking about me, Minister Dennis Ausar Winkler. PayPal did not hold your money or my money when I didn't get my stuff. It took me, I ordered a book, 2 lousy books, I must say, that Polite has written. They're lousy. I mean, I'm just telling you the honest truth. They are not scholarly at all. And both books talk about the same thing for like the first maybe 80 pages, talking about I grew up and I was poor and I found out the fish and white people, when I went on the white side of town, fish didn't have bones in it. And this, you know, so Polite has always showed you that he wanted to be on the white side of town. I mean, this is nothing new. He's always showed you this. But one thing I heard about that I heard the brother say many years ago, and I told him not to change when he came into Baltimore several years ago, to digress for a moment, I said, brother, don't change, man. But he always spoke about, you know, he want the rims and he want this and he want that. But one key thing he said that I think was really, really good. He said, look, he said, your spirituality will, you know, anybody when they broke, they can be spiritual. He said, the test is when you get some money and see how spiritual you are then. And I'm telling you, he is an example of how you fail that test. He's an example. Baltimore, no, Baltimore don't even want polite here. I'm being honest. I'm not coming from no gangster stuff. I'm telling you, my brother bought polite. I mean, my brother is the one who brought polite here, and he knows that I do not approve of that, and many others don't approve of that. We don't approve of it. Polite, and let me go to the bottom of my article. Where I say, I'm just going to give you my analogy here. These acts, such as giving pizza and soup out to the poor, are tantamount to giving testers out in neighborhoods plagued by drugs. I would use this analogy as a narrative to emphasize my point. Do you think that drug dealers have the best interest of those who they are giving testers out? Testers, if people don't know, are free drugs, free samples, right? I said, no. They are building rapport, marketing their products, and prospecting for future clients, and know that those who they are giving testers out may return to purchase the product or tell others who also use about the quality of the testers they received, of the tester they received. So that's what it is, man. Is a bunch of shenanigans. It took me 6 months to get my books from Brother Polite. First time 3 months, second time 3 months. Both times I had to go to the credit card company and file a complaint, a dispute, and say, look, I never got my material. Once they start doing the investigation, I got my books. You see what I'm saying? So this is the same time, about the same time he's saying that he didn't know. Come on, he didn't know because PayPal wasn't giving him his stuff, or he got so many orders that he didn't receive. Dude, stop it. Stop it, because when I was trying to reach out to the brother one-on-one, went to his page, went to his website, all these type of things, I never got my stuff. I wanted to see what this brother was teaching in real estate, because this is one of the main things I've been doing for years. And it's nothing. He's not teaching you anything. In fact, once you get to the point where he talks about the real estate, he's just giving you a very surface, non-transferable idea of what he's talking about. And what I mean by that, that doesn't work in every state. And some of the stuff is antiquated, meaning that it's old, it's outdated, you know, and he act like what he was doing was something special. There's nothing different than someone, you know, one of these people come in town that basically talk about, you know, if you want to buy tax liens. That's pretty much what it was. It wasn't nothing special.
All right, we get them.
Okay, I stopped because I heard you talking. I mean, I heard you come back out. So, yeah, I mean, it's nothing special about Polite. I don't agree with Polite coming to Baltimore. I will hold anybody accountable who brings them to Baltimore, including my big brother Jabari, who bought him. He knows how I feel about it. You know, to me, I think the money has people do what, as I said on my show, people do some strange things for some change, and I ain't with that, man. Because I understand that you can get change morally. You don't have to bring someone who beats up and beats up on our community like Polite did. Now come back and act like he's all black power. I mean, but Polite was saying the police was his friend. I mean, we soon forget. And that's why I think it's important that we also have shows like yours, shows like mine, who also shed light on poor business practices. That's one thing we have to do. And business, to me, what you see behind me, we say where everything is business. And when I say when we start treating our relationships, our education, our community, our interpersonal, romantic, whatever relationships as business, we'll be more successful.
Man, I'm surprised we haven't met and talked with each other a long time ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But man, that was a doozy. I wasn't expecting that out of you. You got my mouth shut over here. But well, let's get into, you know, some people that you done brought over there from, I'm gonna say, the so-called conscious community. How many of them have you had over, and what do you think about the current state So we're gonna talk about who you done had over in the current state of it, ending there in 2016, and how the world will probably look at us, since them interactions.
Okay, so who have I had over in the so-called conscious community? How would the world look at us after these interactions? And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't bring. See, I think what people think is the conscious community from YouTube is a misnomer. And what you're beating up, even what you beat up, and the reason why, even Tahaka, I had to tell him, like these cats don't represent the conscious community, bro. They don't. So again, when you say polite, nothing's conscious about this cat, man. He don't even subscribe to anything that our elders put down. Everything that he does is against what the quote unquote conscious community put together. See, polite is not subscribing. Look, let me give you an idea. Let me give it to you quick. You've heard them say stuff like this, right? Like this book here. I don't know if you can see it. This is Neely Fuller's book. You heard of Neely Fuller?
Compensatory code.
Yes, you've heard of this before, right? You've heard of this, right?
Oh yeah, I gotta get one. I keep failing to purchase one, but I'm gonna.
Well, let me tell you about it, right?
Like using the chronology of the Bible and some other stuff. I ain't got the Amos Wilson and hardback stuff, but I got some PDFs and stuff. But I got to get some hardbacks.
And I got you, bro. And this is a very old book, right? And it's it's old because it's real big, right? This is now they make it in a small edition. I was born into this conscious community, so a lot of that Negro stuff that you see acting out is not what the conscious community was born, what was birthed, and how it was birthed, and how it was when I was a child, and how it was up until YouTube came in and became a COINTEL. Trying to say, I mean, it don't even have to try, because what happens is YouTube allows our people to play out their narcissistic personality, psychological disorders on camera. The problem is our people are very attracted to those who have psychological problems. Why are they attracted to those who have psychological problems? Because they too are suffering from the same illnesses, and if polite can do it, it means I don't have to change the way that I do a thing. If Sonetta can cuss and call everybody MFers and go and lose his mind and do all this, and it's cool, why would I want to go and deal with Minister Ausar or Brother Imhotep Fatiyu or Dr. Imwali Barudi, or deal with a lot of people that you don't see on these cameras who really are doing the work? See, they're dealing with this fan stuff where they act like, I don't want to say, I don't normally use those words, but I'm going to say niggas, and they're attracted to it because this is what they're used to. And it says, well, I don't have to change any. I can stay how I am and have fun because the white man made the rules and I can still be a nigga. But furthermore, Polite is a very cunning guy. This is what he said. Polite said this. He says, look, we got to bring them to nigga-ish, because I got a certain level nigga in me. And, these people are looking at, I don't know the shows, I think it's Desperate Housewives and Empire and some of those shows, right? Like that, right? Some people say I'll be going back to the old ones, but these are the ones I can remember. So he said something like that, like these people this is the audience that we are attracting. So I said to myself, so if this is the audience that you're attracting, when do you ever show them a clean glass? And show me when acting like a quote unquote nigga or nigga-ish, or I got a little bit of nigga, has ever really worked uplifting a community. The best example, or one of the best examples that we have before us, is the Nation of Islam. They attracted people from the streets, killers, stone cold killers, and they have a lot to say about these brothers, but they can't compare. They say something about even the Hebrew Israelites. I'm going to be honest with you. But they can't compare because they have no discipline. But I'm going to, what I am sharing with you here today, brother, is there's another sect of the conscious community that doesn't make it online. Not sect. There's the majority of the conscious community, the real conscious community. I'm going to say, please stand up, that are not online acting like these fools. So Brother Neely Fuller says, look, I'm gonna tell you how they not following. Because all you have to do is read, man. And this is what we do. They said they're scholars. See, people stopped reading when YouTube came out because YouTube is the fast way, and they think these brothers are spitting out audiobooks. No, they're spitting out misinterpretations. Look, Nelly Fuller says, one, stop snitching. We got to stop it. And when he says stop snitching, he's talking about stop snitching to the white man. And this is what we're doing. We're snitching to the white man all day, every day. I'm talking about not on your dirt, but on some when you're really doing some revolutionary stuff. See, some of us say we snitching, and it's really some of us need. No, if you kill somebody or you did something, dude, you need to be dealt with either in the community. If you don't have that set up, look, dude, you know, if you hurting our people, you gotta be dealt with. That's all I gotta say. Number two, stop name calling. And this is where I want to go. If this is what you always repeat in white supremacy, as Nelly Fuller said, as Dr. Fresh Welson said, and so on and so forth. So the second thing that he said we must stop is name calling. And this is all you see on these channels. And then when someone comes with a good critique, like myself, and I've even heard your critiques, like yourself and some others, without calling people and land blast them and calling them, you know, this, that, and the third, and why, you know, that's when they want to attack somebody. But no, they okay when you're saying MF and F this and you and use a nigga and use a BITCH and use a this. This is fine. But look, it goes on to say the second thing is stop cursing. Stop cursing. Stop talking about Nelly Fuller. Get Nelly Fuller out your mind. Stop saying white supremacy and racism, you know, what it is. And if you don't know what it is, you'll be confused if you can't stop what he said stop doing. Don't do it. He said stop gossiping. And we see, our people have to understand there's a difference between gossiping, because what we're doing is not gossiping. This is called critiquing. Gossiping is a whole nother thing. And as he says, that gossiping is when you won't take it to that person. No, I will take it to that person. I will talk to them. I keep it straight up. Stop being discourteous, he says. Number 5, stop stealing, he says. Number 6, and look, brothers are stealing all day, man. They're stealing. Polite, talking about PayPal doesn't work, and PayPal works, bro. I went on his website. He still has PayPal. To this day, there's a PayPal on there. I heard a brother say earlier that it's not on there, no, but it's on there. I have the screenshots and everything. You know, because he's a charlatan, brother. 7, stop robbing. 8, stop fighting. Stop fighting. You know, I was looking at this video of Sinetta's platform when the brothers was up at the debate and they're fighting and brother Sinetta's egging it on. You know. 9, stop killing. 10, stop squabbling amongst yourselves and asking racists. So what I'm saying is, bro, they don't even have the foundation right. They don't even have they don't have the foundational thing. That is foundational. And if you can't stop that and you don't understand that, you're not conscious. That requires action.
Okay. Boy, I don't know what to say. So the different people from that community or that platform that birthed those people into the so-called community.
Right.
I know Dr. Mayat been on there. I helped with her interest in the entry into the community by having a debate with her. Is it any other people outside of her and Taharka?
Oh, you mean on my show?
Yeah.
I had Mayat, right? And I saw you guys, you know, you guys going back and forth. But I'll tell you, I brought Mayat on the show because when I saw Mayat on Sinetta's show, man, she dropped some serious. I mean, she came very scholarly. I didn't hear a bunch of cussing out of her mouth. I didn't hear anything, and she got her message across, right? I'm not really, you know, big on a lot of things that's going on in the community where Pharaoh and this, that, and the third. You know, that's to me, that's some of that stuff that, you know, we shouldn't do. I've had Taharka on there, and he had me on his show, and then I brought him on my show to talk about a campaign. Who else? We had Dr. Booker T. Coleman, so we try to bring people who really. Taharka came on my show on the panel. He's never really came on my show as a guest. I mean, let me clarify that. And I wouldn't bring Taharka on my show as a guest because he doesn't have anything. What he has is he's trying to build a platform and take it from Sinetta. He's strategically trying to destroy Sinetta's platform. This is what he told me, right? But at the end of the day, he has nothing. He came on because he talks about politics. He's a more science temple, and basically he came on a panel discussion. He couldn't handle the panel discussion. I realized that I believe that he's holding a grudge or something. You know, Tahaka. To be honest with you, Tahaka tried to get in the brother's face, man. And we had our troops around. I told the brother I love him. I said, brother, I love you, man. Why? This brother told me he'll take me outside. I said, brother, we don't have to do that because we don't have an agree. I don't agree with Polite being here in Baltimore. I said, brother, I love you. Why would you do that? He said, this is what you're doing for the camera. I said, brother Tahaka, bro, I'm not doing this for the camera, man. Because if I wanted to, we were beefier than him, outman him. And if I didn't, I had malice in my heart, he would have been taken care of. But look, brothers and sisters, I love my people. I don't have no malice to be doing nothing like that. I mean, he would have easily been taken care of. But that was unnecessary, because if we're about uplifting our people, when we know that they're sick, we let certain things go. I think my brother dropped out of the room or something here, right? Black Intelligentsia. Okay, are you still there, my brother?
No, I'm here. I just do my banner up.
Oh, you doing the station identification, huh? Yeah. So yeah, Tahaka, man, and I had Booker T. Coleman, I had Dr. Claude Anderson. We've had Dr. Claude Anderson. We had Malefic Asante. We've had, and I'm talking about people who are known for their scholarship. We had a lot more people, but I'm talking about people who've known for their scholarship. Again, Dr. Claude Anderson, Malefic Asante. We had a brother now that brothers and sisters need to check out named Imhotep Fatu, who's nominated for a Black Power Award. I don't think he received it, but he's an up and coming brother from Baltimore who's doing a marvelous work with his community called Pan-African Liberation Movement. If you want to really see a good example of what this consciousness is, we need to talk to people like Brother Imhotep from Pan-African Liberation Movement. We need to talk to the brother Aya, brother African Youth Alchemy, who takes out children to Africa every year. Take them to Ethiopia for nearly a month every year to be a part of the culture. You understand what I'm saying? East to West Africa. I've had quite a few people on here, man. I had a number of people on here, but most of all, we just want to deal with people who are doing things, and we shed light a lot on people who people don't see, and these are the builders and business owners.
So let's talk about conscious community versus conscious industry, because I think the popularization of consciousness through that platform and through that individual that we was just talking about, Polite, has caused a lot of people to think that you can get a lot of money doing this. And I believe you could get a nice look,
okay,
out of it, not rich. What do you think about that aspect, that we should be building a true conscious community and not a conscious industry? And I believe that's why all this infighting, this stuff from Tariq to Tommy to Umar and everybody, Seti. Could you speak on that?
Let me be honest with you on that one. I think that there's not a problem with either one if it's done correctly. I think that what we see is not industry. I think it's poor. I think it's called capitalism. So I call it consciousness being co-opted by capitalism. I think we need to have industry in the conscious community. So it's just that we have the wrong individuals perpetrating as they are industry. Let me give you an example of why I say they're perpetrating. I put a post on Facebook not too long ago, and I spoke about these brothers acting like they're business people. Business people don't add their bad business on social media. To me, it's embarrassing. Like, the contract. Like, if the contract was whack, you don't have to come on social media and do it. I mean, let's sit down like real business people and talk this thing out. Like to me, they need to learn something from the industry. Because the industry is obviously doing a better job than they are. This is not conscious industry. This is conscious mismanagement. The conscious community, we do have, again, quote unquote conscious community. I mean, and the reason why I say quote unquote, I call it. I'll go with community. And the reason why I'll go with community is just from a loose definition of a subset of the population who have similarities in thought, ideologies and things of that nature. So I'll use community in that regard. But when I talk about community from a stronger regard, a community has to have a code of conduct. Like here, we have a community, the Temple of New African Thought. We have a code of conduct. You don't get out before the people and act like that. You understand? You don't drink and smoke and now everybody don't have to agree with that, but that's what we require at this community. You understand? So our leadership won't be drunk on YouTube as my brother said he was. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't come on the platform drunk. So that's our code of conduct. So when I say community from a greater level, in order for me to put myself in a community, I have to understand what the rules and protocols are. You understand? Like, for example, my brother's here right now. He knows that we don't come in here. We don't smoke. We don't dope. We don't become whores, males or females. We don't dress certain ways. We don't do certain things. So to me, that's what community is about. Community has protocols, leadership, rules, precepts, concepts, culture. And this is culture.
Yeah, I was waiting for that word, culture. You create a certain culture.
Right. Yes, sir.
So, brother, I don't know how long you want to stay. We was talking about you getting ready to do a show and stuff. That's why we started at the 5 o'clock hour. But man, there's some things that you said. I was surprised to hear it. And I didn't know the show was going to go this way, but that's what I told you. I don't know you. You don't know me. And to ask questions to a person you don't know, but you're trying to know is organic. So
you said you didn't know it was going to go this way.
Nah, I really didn't know all your views and stuff. I done seen some of your shows and I seen you talk, but I never really honed into it. I'd rather talk to a person like this more to learn more about you than watching you on the show, because it could be organic like this. On the show, you might be putting on a production. So,
yes, sir. I like to say, I don't see anything wrong with making money, man. In fact, I think we need to make money, man. The thing is, these brothers haven't made money before, so they lost their minds. So when you start making money, you never even knew what it would be like to make so much money. Now, what you have is people who have so money that they never even thought they could really possibly have. When you're making 6 figures and you weren't really making hardly that before, that's a come up. You know what I'm saying? So, when you start making at least $10,000 a month, that's a come up to brothers if they're not humble. If you start making $10,000 a month, you know what you can do with that? You know what that can make you feel like? I'm saying this 10,000 is a small part. I'm saying when you start making hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you don't have a foundation, and a lot of these brothers and sisters don't have a foundation, I'm going to say brothers and sisters, and we're dealing with mental illness, this is what we see. We run amok. So I got a little bit more time though, brother. You got any more questions?
Yeah, let's talk about the Hebrew Israelite song. Are there some in Baltimore? I don't know. I've seen
Hebrew Israelites in Baltimore. They're down at what we call Linkston Market. I've seen them on the corners. Baltimore, I'm gonna be honest with you. Baltimore, I would say, like Chicago, is a tough city. It's not. You're not gonna. It's different. You can't do the stuff that you see on 125th. I'm just being honest with you. It's tough here. I'm saying people, the things you see and the names you see being called, like BITCHs and cross the line and all that. No, that can't happen here because people really hurt, man. People would end up dead if they did that stuff here. It's not the right place. And this is what I'm saying. And this is what I have to, warn Tahaka, man. He has to be careful of that as well, because this ain't the city to do that in, because people here really are trying to eat. I'm saying it's like I heard the brother Sinetta, and be honest with you, sound like like they're trying to go on this good path right now, and I hope they do. I hope they go on a better path. Now, I've heard Sinetta say that many times before, because I think inside he deeply understands that what he's doing is not right, and it's for views. And I think Polite taught him that, to be honest with you, because Polite, he says everything in public, you got to get the viewership, and you got to do this, all that, right? But I think that once you start making that money, man, it's something. Once you start making money, as what's the brother name, Brother Larry, Muada Ashby, a brother who writes Kemetic literature, and he said it's a problem. He said that there are two problems that people deal with when it comes to money. One is if you don't have it, you chase it, and sometimes you'll do anything to get it. And two, once you get it, see, and you're worried about getting it. See, you're not living in peace. You're not centered, because your ultimate goal is money. And then once you get it, and this is what I'm saying, where my brother Sinetta is right now, and this is what I believe. He's at a place where he's began to make money that he's never made before. He probably made it other times in his life, but he now is making it. And once you make that money, the second thing which is a problem, is trying to keep it. And this is what is part of the problem, because the system wasn't ever set up correctly, whereas now everybody wants to be in charge. I already told people months ago, years ago, that Sinetta could have done a lot better job in business, because his platform is what it is. He can put people out there and they can become, pretty known, So I think that once he realized that he didn't understand his power, and he didn't have the ability, or he had too many people, he didn't go and seek consultation from business people. He need not to seek consultation from all these brothers who reading all these books. See, that's theory. So there's a difference between someone who practices these things in theory and someone who actually has tangible results because they put it into practice. So he has to deal with real people, real accountants, real business people, have a real business plan, have real contracts, not these things that my brothers and sisters make up, not these things, not that type of thing. So I kind of lost where I was going at, my brother. Yeah. So what did I go around the question? I'm sorry. But
yeah, I asked about Hebrew Israelites, but that's cool. I just wanted to try to see how do y'all deal with them, and how do they deal with you all, based up on the fact that you bring another.
Okay. So because I say that there's consciousness and there's conscience, I think becoming a Hebrew Israelite is a level of consciousness, right? Just like I believe those who in the quote unquote Pan-African liberation movement, not the organization, but Pan-African movement, have a level of consciousness. Just like people who call themselves Afrocentrists have a level of consciousness. Just like people who call themselves people of the Nation of Islam, they have a certain level of consciousness. And some people say all these communities can be considered a part of the conscious community. And I think that in a sense, when we're in these communities, we are at a certain level of consciousness, and the consciousness is, in most cases, that the white man has done us wrong or whatever. Some of them I agree with. I mean, mythology. This is what they're all to me, mythology. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm talking about even Pan-Africanism, and I subscribe to consciousness. But what I'm saying is, there's always in mythology there has to be a devil, and it has to be something godly. And what happens is, then there's rules and protocols and things that keep people in these communities that what do they call them? Defense mechanisms. Whereas, I don't agree with you. You don't agree with me. I don't agree with you. I think that's when you at that level of consciousness. But when you're at a higher level of consciousness, as a sister of mine says, you're on the horizon. You're looking above all these different schools that are really training institutes or cultural systems to create a certain level of consciousness, to create a certain level of consciousness or wake a person up to do certain things, and it's cool. But I think that's not the highest level. And because I think I'm at that, I can look at all these and understand what they were created for. I have no problem with them. Only problem I have with anybody that's in religion is this. Any religion. I'm calling the conscious community religion too in many instances. I'm saying when you cause conflict between the different groups. If you in your bubble and you doing work, I'm fine. The problem is when you come over here and you're telling me I'm going to hell because I don't subscribe to what you got. Now, if that's what you believe, just leave that alone. Don't bring it to me. The only time I have a problem with that is when you tell me I need to do what you're doing. I'm going to hell, and no, I don't have that problem. You do your work. I appreciate you. I like your vegan food. Heroes got like the best vegan food in the country, right? So I don't have no problem. I don't have a problem with none of these sects, not even a Christian. I understand where they are and their consciousness. And I think when we ultimately get to a higher level of consciousness, we understand this, and it's not as much conflict.
So, what do you see 2017 in the Black community in general? Let's come and say Black America again. So, where is Black America going to be once again? Are we going to be, pick a time period. Are we going to be at this time period, or are we going to be at this time period? Are we going to resurrect this mindset that went on in that time period, or are we going to resurrect this one? However you see it.
Well, 2017, I can speak for myself, my peoples, my organization, us. And I'm saying, when I say us, when I say I mean, I am the founder. However, when I hope that my brother Larry here says my as well. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it's my organization, not my organization as an individual, but my organization that I'm a part of. I see that we're going to be doing some greater things. My schedule is going to be opening up. Really, we're going to be we're going to be opening up more businesses. We're going to be getting more into real estate. We're going to be getting our health together. Keep doing the work that we're doing, because I don't think what we see on social media is a good projection of what's really going on out here in these conscious streets. I think that's called social buffoonery or social reality TV. Just like reality TV, that's not really what happens in their lives. Some of it is real, but some of it is for views. So what's going on in the conscious community? I think that we're doing some great things. Just, here in Baltimore, I can speak for. Up in New York, I got some people up in Brooklyn. They're going to be doing some great things. I mean, people all around. We're going to continue to do what we do, man. That's all. But 2017, this whole end of year thing, and how all this mess came, I think is a beautiful thing, because what I was saying when I was saying these things a year ago about these individuals, it wasn't very popular. But now, as you can see, the likes have switched. Last year, when you said something about, Umar's behavior, you would get so many dislikes because our people wasn't ready for it yet. If you said something about Sinetta's behavior, you get so many dislikes because our people wasn't ready for it yet. If you said something about Seti's behavior, I mean, people still going to die with Seti. I'm talking about hard, one way or another, just because they're attracted to that type of thing. But nonetheless, it's more people who are waking up to these particular characters and their character traits at this point. So I see it going up, man. I think, the great fall, when we see this thing going, I think you did a wonderful analogy. You're a biblical guy, and I like the analogy. I think, I think I heard you still say analogy, but I think, it's kind of like the flood, man. Come washing these phonies out. And then, it's going to be a great ride.
Yeah, I'm most definitely have to subscribe now, because I see you talk about things that I like, or you got a mindset that I like similar to my own. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm glad you checked me out. So what did your people say? Let's get on me right quick, because I want to see what type of people you deal with, and what type of people you had out there investigating me. How do you do that when you want to know what's going on with a person? How do y'all do that?
I wouldn't say how we do it on the air, but one thing for sure, people have already been watching you. So I went and checked to see who they've been watching. In fact, I went to my father. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be straight with you. My father, I went to him as well. And my father is conscious, and what I'm saying is he brought me into conscious from a child. So he was my teacher. And his teachers were, Dr. Benz and so on and so forth of the world. You got what I'm trying to say? So what I'm saying is my father even said, look, yeah, he's a decent guy. He kind of reminds you a little bit. And guess what? My father will have a run-in with you on some Hebrew and some Kemetic stuff. But guess what? He still, at the end of the day, he can still give you a hug. You dig? But he said, nah, the brother, man, he's pretty cool, man. My brother Larry here, he checked you out. He told me, nah, he's cool for the most part, man. And then after that, we pretty much, just watch how you move. I see some things that I've seen some things that some trouble you think in out there. I don't necessarily agree with always everything, but for the most part, I've seen that even with your mouth, when you get a little raw, you still excuse it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I see a brother who's following his principles. I judge people by where they say they're following. I don't judge people. Like, for example, if you say you're an Israelite and I see you say you're an Israelite or Christian, okay, if that's what you are, I'm fine. I'm just going to hold you accountable, my brother, by the principles that you say you follow. You got what I'm saying? I'm not going to hold you accountable by the principles I say I follow. But when I see, and the thing is, I don't necessarily try to get on other groups. I'm really about, look, if we say we conscious, look, again, let's go into the United Independent Compensatory Code for you brothers. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at Dr. Amos Wilson for you brothers and see how you act. And when Dr. Amos Wilson say we have to be socialized and there have to be rules, protocols, order, all this type of thing. And what we see is disorder. So you can't say you conscious. You can't be bringing up names like Nellie Fuller and Dr. Amos Wilson and Dr. Joy DeGruy, and you're not dealing with the things. You can't be, you can't be talking about Kwanzaa. And you know what? It's funny. People forgot about Kwanzaa this year because of all this mess. Nobody said Habari Ghani. I'm trying to say you didn't even hear this at all. All you heard was I'm the best. I'm the number one. I'm Lil Flip. I'm T.I. This Biggie and Tupac. This is what you heard. And then people say, yeah, I like a leader like that. I mean, I don't understand people. I like a leader like that to make me look foolish in front of the real world. I like leaders to put on hats with P's and pull the skull cap down to my eyebrow and look like he's from North Philly. They look tough. But the thing is, brother, when people put all that gritting on, they show you their weakness. When a brother walks up and down the street and he gritting, people say, oh, they the bangers. They the ones we need. They the killers. They the ones for the revolution. No, they are disorganized and weak and broken. They come in my room and my counseling room, and those same guys with their pants hanging off their tails and gritting, they some of the weakest. I'm talking about because they are broken. It's nothing against them. But what I'm trying to tell you is they can't handle too much stress. What I'm telling you is they are beaten, they are broken, they are scared. That's why the grit is on the face. That's why people breaking down their mugs, because they're afraid. I gotta make you afraid of me because I'm afraid of you. That's what's happening. So these are not, oh, that's what we try and get these warriors. No, brothers. No. You don't see strong military people or minded individuals and organizations ever looking like that. You ain't got to look like that. That's what the white man has put out here for you to act like so that you can keep ending up in handcuffs. See, we don't know that. That's ignorant. Like the European or white supremacy, or whatever people want to call it, has created an image that you think is cool. Like you didn't create that image. That dude gritting with the skull cap on, walking down the street, holding his dip. No, you didn't create that. They created that. If you look into the Tavistock Institute and all these other things where they get psychologists, psychiatrists, and other mental health people to come around and create even branding, clothes, and market it to the quote unquote ghettos of America, and we put them on and we walk around and we talking about we acting out culture. No, we're not acting out culture. We're not putting the culture. No, this stuff has been fed to us and we are taking it in. And then on the other end, the police they're saying to the police, look, this is a suspect. This is a suspect, and this is what he looks like. This is what the type of cologne he wears. These are the type of shoes he's wearing, and this is how it is. And then you got both groups being played against each other. This is what a criminal looks like. When we walk down the street with ski masks on, when it's not even cold enough to wear one. Come on, man. And this is what we do in the college community, walking around like we tough. We want to make people afraid, but we really are scared.
So let's deal with
power, bro. Hold on. People who have power don't walk around like that, bro.
Oh, I agree with you. You see them and you look at them and you say or do something and they don't jump or they don't do nothing, and you be like, hold up. I had an incident one time. I tell people, I said, I wouldn't, you know how you can run a squirrel real easy? And it run.
Mm-hmm.
I was out in the yard one day,
mm-hmm.
and there was a squirrel out there. So I'm gonna run the squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
And the squirrel didn't move. So then I got afraid. I said, I believe that squirrel alone. This squirrel might turn around and attack me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He made me run. So I understand what you mean. That was a bad squirrel. That other one, he wasn't that bad. But let's talk about the conscious industry then and getting money off of our culture, because I believe we should be able to get money off of our culture, our garbs, whatever. You know what I'm saying? All but our doctrine. I don't believe in selling doctrine. I believe that, you know, our teaching should be fundamental to everybody. So therefore, you know, it's just like a dollar. Everybody should be able to acquire a dollar.
That's culture. I mean, if it's created in a culture like that, in the fabric of the culture, then it's going to inevitably be taught to the students. For example, I grew up in the community, and talking about the conscious community. When I grew up, I didn't have to read as many books as people have to read now to get rid of this European mindset, or to get rid of, you know, hating on my brothers and my sisters and all this type of thing, because this is what I've been fed since I was young, because it was a part of the culture that my father and mother fed me. In my house, in the what they call the hood, my father did well. You see what I'm trying to say? However, my house was a safe haven for the brothers and sisters whose mothers were at work or fathers weren't there, and they will be in my house eating. You understand what I'm trying to say? When one young lady, her mother started using drugs, she started living with us at my house. So what I'm trying to say is, when you make it a culture to serve the people, you know, you don't have to sell it, you know, because we have community. As far as, I think you said something about industry.
Yeah, as you were saying before, this not an industry, and so as it say on the back wall there, where everything is business. And once again, it's a funny thing, because I've been telling people, everything you do, you gotta handle it like business. Whether if it's a relationship, whether if it's this, whatever it is.
Right. So when I look at it, I think about.
Business.
I can't hear you, my brother. I'm sorry. Did you say something?
No, I was saying, because you'll stay business minded.
Right.
Only business minded in everything you do. So like I said, I don't know who you say been watching me, but they probably heard some of the same similarities of, like, yeah, he remind me of you.
That's what
he's both bald headed with a beard. So I guess that's another similarity.
Look, I ain't trying to get all that gray. I ain't that wise yet, bro. I ain't trying. Look, so my father said, yeah, he got a beard like me, talking about himself, right? So nonetheless, when I think about an elder that doesn't get attention, you know, the quote unquote conscious community gets, you know, named Dr. George Frazier. Have you ever heard of the brother George Frazier? George Frazier is a brother. He was in Hidden Colors. You know, I think it was 4, I believe. And this brother hosts major events and does major things with businesses, networking, and so on and so forth. He said all groups of people get into the industry of selling their culture. This is the initial part of the process. And that is that's what we do when we see Shea Butter, and we see Unks, and we see Mogan Davids, and we see Cowie Shells, and we see hip hop stuff, and this is what we do. He said, however, there's another level that we need to get into, and I'm going to, you know, quote the brother's words, or paraphrase. He says that, okay, we first get in business and we sell our culture, you know, But see, what we need to do subsequently is to get in the we need to have get into the culture of business, not in selling our culture, but we need to create a culture of business. And that's why we say where everything is business. So yeah, I mean, so once we create this culture of business, I think we'll see a lot less things going on. We'll have protocols, order, presets, concepts, contracts, and I've been in business for a while, bro. And I think we can be in business, but be in business more successful if we act like we're still on the block. This is what you're going to get when you see people, as a saying says, loose ships sink ships. These brothers are very loose in what they say. They say everything. They're unbridled. They're untamed. They say any and everything in front of the camera. This lets you know that this thing is just a light or a projection of what they're really dealing with inside. So when you see someone who's unbridled with their mouth and with their language and with their behaviors, this is them. This shows that they have a lack of discipline. Because if they say I'm gonna stop cussing and they can't even stop cussing every other word, this shows you they're sloppy. They're unorganized, ill-prepared. They need to go through some training and some schooling.
I would agree. I find myself, when I get in my colonel state of mind, I revert back to that old man. Mm-hmm. So,
and let me clarify this. There is a need for all sides of us, from an African-centered perspective. I'm something from an African-centered perspective. There's nothing innately good or bad, but you have to utilize it correctly, and we're misutilizing it.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, though, people that want to harm you take those instances where you do that, magnify them, and take sound bites and try to create a whole nother image.
Absolutely. Can I jump on that real quick? I say this like what SETI does, what some of us, when we're screaming and we're in front of the camera, when some real thing starts to happen, they're going to put you out there and make people look crazy. Like these are what these fools are doing. For example, when the brother killed the people down in what is it called? Down in Texas, when he
Dallas and Louisiana.
Yeah, and all that type of thing. And what they do is they take people like SETI and say they're part of this cult. You see this, and you see how they act, and they take those words and use it against these people. So we gotta be careful what we put out there. Just like Polite, he said, when I come to my people and I come before my people, I'm gonna hold them accountable. He said, so I'm gonna call them dogs and rats and tell them what they are. But when I go out there in front of their people, in front of the white people, I tell them how good we are, how black man is God, and all this type of thing, and the black woman is God, and all this type of thing. But that's not what he's doing. He's saying that, and people taking it like for hook, line, and sinker. That's not what he's doing, because YouTube is not ours, and YouTube is not in this building right here, and YouTube is being projected to the world. It's international. There's nothing private about YouTube, unless you put it on private. But you ain't monetizing no private unlisted video.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit to end off about what you think about COINTELPRO and the 21 Jump Street elements of this culture right now, because I believe that COINTELPRO is heavy in this, and I believe that a lot of this is like the 21 Jump Street TV show more than that movie. It shows it in the movie, but they use it as a comedy more, where you have a lot of grown people with a lot of youthful characteristics and stuff that they're putting out here in the community and allowing them to be a part of the community, but they're just there to gain intel and to be agents, provocateurs, and stuff. What do you think about that theory?
Let me be honest with you about this COINTELPRO and calling people agents. I'm not really that. I don't do that call people agent thing unless I have irrefutable information. In fact, I'm not gonna lie, just the other day when I saw all this stuff going on, I started thinking like, hold up, are these brothers plants? because this is crazy. Like this is crazy. Like, am I really looking at this in front of me? But I'll tell you what I try not to call people agents because, for example, I'll give you an example. I know some people in the community that's been called agents that I know are agents. You know what I mean? They may have personality problems and personality disorders. I know brothers who call each other agents, and I'm cool with both groups. See, I think we're real quick on calling each other agents. I think we got to understand that this European or whoever you want to call it, the powers to be. I prefer to say that because some of us are just as bad as we fit in there as well. But I think this European or powers to be creates the environment conducive to what we see. You put someone like the projects, you create the conditions and the people will respond because they know human behavior. They don't necessarily have to hire anyone. Not to say that they're not hiring people. But this COINTELPRO, let's talk about, like, for example, this whole thing with Polite and the government's coming after them. To me, that's shenanigans. You're not even making that much noise. In fact, just a few weeks ago, you said you love the white man. They don't have no beef with you. They don't have no beef with you. They have, they want you out there. They want you to do what you're doing. So I do believe that there are people who are agents. In fact, I was part of an organization that they put an FBI person in the organization to monitor the organization. And when they realized that this organization wasn't what people said it was, the person let them know after they were looking at them. So the FBI and so on and so CIA and all that, they are actually real. They are, going in organizations as other, fronting and all that. I'm not sure who's out here is an agent. I know that half of the stuff that people put out here and call people agents, they just going with emotions. It's not really real. But I will say that they create the conditions, and knowing human behavior, studying, as I said, such as the Tavistock Institute, when you set the conditions, they know what's going to happen, because this is what will happen to people in general, especially impoverished people. You give impoverished people, you set the conditions, and this is how we respond. So that's pretty much it. I think impoverished and mentally ill people, this is what we get.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you close out, bro. I don't want to hold you any longer because I know you need a little time to talk to your brother there in the room with you and stuff and get your show set up. And I can't remember exactly what this is. 6 o'clock. Could you tell people exactly what you're doing today, who you're doing it with, and, close out and everything?
Okay, brother. Thanks for that. Again, I want to say thank you, brother, for having me on. It was a pleasure. We today, what we're going to do is we have a show with Baba Ausar coming up, and he's going to be speaking at 7:30 on the issue at consciousblackbusiness.com. You can check us out, or you can go to YouTube, CBBN, or look my name up, Dennis Ausar Winkler. And we're going to be streaming live either through our website, which is a online radio platform. He's going to be talking about the serious the Dogon people in West Africa, Mali, West Africa. And on our show, we're going to be talking about that old school, that give me that old time conscious cultural awareness, not this stuff that we see today. And we're going to have some elders on there. That's starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Both shows 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Next show 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can check us out again, consciousblackbusiness.com. You can view it there, or you can listen to it there, or you can call in at 410-989-55557. Again, 410-989-55557, brother. Closing words I would like to say, man, is, we definitely have to do better, show improve, become more disciplined. Let's not recreate the wheels when we have the literature here. There's no reason to act like we don't have a code of conduct when we have so many examples before us. The real conscious community stand up. And that's all I got to say, brother. Peace and power.
Okay, everybody. So check out the brother later on tonight. Black Intelligentsia is back on the map. We're gonna bring more people over and have some more dialogue. It's this. And check us out at Israel Doctrine, Israel Doctrine Reload, or Israel Doctrine Org. Um, that's also where I work out of. And Black Intelligentsia is for everything black, all black everything. So we will be bringing you more those things that's black. With that said, I'm gonna say peace, y'all, and have a nice night.
Peace and power, brother.
All right.